In today's video, I wanted to share with you an interesting prompt formula that I think is super interesting when it comes to your marketing, particularly to your target audience and understanding how they think and getting to practice with them, as well as uncovering some of their pain points. And that's the conversation prompt formula or conversational prompt formula. And what you're asking ChatGPT to do is to act as someone in your target market, to act as a customer, to act as a potential customer, to act as somebody who went through your service, and you can interact with chat based on the information you give it. It can reveal some really interesting tidbits when it comes to working with clients, to selling with clients, to marketing to clients. This is one I think is really interesting to play around with. Of course, you're not talking to an actual client, but it can give you some nice insight as well as language and copy that you can pull out of these conversations. What you might say if somebody has an objection to your price or to how you do your service. So it can help you practice what your response would be. It can help you better come up with not only questions that they may ask you so you're better prepared, but it helps you clarify to yourself how you might respond if a client says X, Y, and Z to you. This is really an interesting way to use chat to inspire you and to really dig into some of your client pain points and to just have an opportunity to have kind of a low-key insight into some of your prospective clients and how they think through the power of Chat GPT. It's always important that you use your best judgment, of course, and use what you know about your particular audience to be true. But again, it's a fun activity and it's a fun prompt to use if you are digging into and you want help with copy and marketing to a particular target audience. Let me show you an example real quick. Let's dive into the conversation script or conversational script, and I've come up with a prompt for us to use. And it's write a conversation between a pet photographer and a potential client whose main concern is the location and safety of the proposed photo shoot. This client's main concern are other dogs interrupting or distracting her dog during his session. So for this prompt, you just have write a conversation between a person and a person, or a title and a title, or a persona and a persona. So it can be really anything. It doesn't have to be a potential client. It could be a current client. It can be you, what you do as a service, or it could be between maybe two clients, or maybe a service that's a competitor for yours for you to get insight. There's a lot of directions you can go with this, but I think it's a really fun one to get unique insight and get good inspiration to make you think about how maybe your client or potential clients or competitors think. So again, write a conversation between a pet photographer and a potential client whose main concern is the location and safety of the proposed photo shoot. The client's main concern are other dogs interrupting or distracting her dog during his session. And you can make this more broad. I made it a little more specific. So here is the outcome, and we have pet photographer and we have potential client. You could have named the client as well. If that made it a little more real for you, we could have put a potential client's name and it would have said, instead of potential client, Anne or Kate or whatever. And I'll let you read this. Hopefully I'll scroll slow enough for you to read. So the main thing I'm worried about is the location, safety of the shoot. I want to make sure my dog is comfortable. And then they ask, can you provide more details about the locations you offer? This is a good opportunity. If you don't say what locations or the type of locations, maybe in your sales page or in other marketing you have, if you feel like this might be a major concern for your clientele, you can add that in, right? So this gives us a little insight. Okay, so that's what it came out with. And again, this can be a good way to get some insight into what you need to include in your sales pitches, in your sales pages, as well as in maybe conversations that you have with clients. So let's do one more. And this one we're going to tweak just a little bit. And instead of saying write a conversation, we're going to say pretend to be, which is another way to prompt a similar output. In this example, we are saying pretend you are a pug pet parent looking to celebrate their pup's 5-year adoption anniversary with a memorable photo shoot of you and your pup. Pretend you called my pet photography business to get some insight on my service package pet birthday celebration. So we're giving it the package they're looking for just to get some insight. Instead of saying like the conversation, we're saying pretend. It's not like a huge difference, but it just is another way to phrase it, and it may get you thinking of ways you can use this particular prompt. Okay, so we have pug parent and then pet photographer, and then it lists out what's included in the shoot, which this is pretty involved. I don't know if somebody talking would list all this out right offhand, but maybe. But it gives you a good idea about, again, what to include maybe on a sales page or emails, or if people have Q&As, this is a great way to get Q&A information, like frequently asked questions. And then how do we proceed with booking? It even says like, I'll require a deposit. So it even gives you insight if you're maybe just exploring the idea of a business, of like things you need to think about when you're working in this particular business or with this particular kind of client, that kind of thing. And we could continue generating, because it'll continue on the conversation. We're not going to, because I think it's long enough, and you get the idea about the kinds of things you can get from this prompt. But again, I find it really interesting in terms of market research and getting some of those details that help you think outside of the box when it comes to addressing pain points for your clients and marketing for your clients. And if you're interested in learning more prompt formulas like these and how you can apply it to your unique business, please join me for Unlock the Magic of Chat GPT, where I share not only how to get started with Chat GPT, but how to apply it to your business, as well as how to build prompts that are going to give you the most effective outcomes and help you actually apply Chat GPT in a real time-saving and effective way in your business. And make sure to hit subscribe if you want more tips and tricks on how to use Chat GPT and other time-saving tools in your business operations.